Hello, friends. It's Chops, and welcome to another Chopsvlog. We're having us a little sit and fish, having some beer, watching. I'm a couple weeks behind it, but I'm watching Mr. Llama SC's world first 99 push in Diablo 2, and we're having a little think about gaming and enjoying really old games and playing them for the love of the game and not for like some weird need to chew through content. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Watching him play that run through really made me kind of think about like what it is that draws people to Wrath of the Lich King Classic. And this is going to kind of piggyback on the video I recorded a couple weeks ago called, I think I called it like Wrath Classic and the Meaning of Happiness. I'll put it up in that corner there. This is kind of brought on by watching his run, but also by scanning over the Blizzard official World of Warcraft forums, and seeing people talk about like getting disinvited or not getting invites at all to heroics because they didn't pass a gear score check. And like, one, heroics are not difficult enough to need a gear score check. Like, me and the guys in the guild 4-manned a heroic the other day. Our tank was largely in resilience gear. One of our DPS is still in leveling greens. Like, there aren't hards. You don't need to gear check people. So the only reason I can think of that somebody would gear check somebody is because they're trying to do as many heroics as possible, as quickly as possible. And every second counts on every pull for them to be able to get through it. And I don't really know why. Like, this game is a rerun, right? Like, you don't go watch an old TV show or pick up an old book that you've already read or watch Lord of the Rings for the 50th time because you're really curious about the content, right? Like, when you've done it so many times, you start to look at it more to appreciate how it was made, or to really just kind of soak into parts that like on first watch might have been very fleeting or that you didn't get to experience, stuff like that, right? Like, you don't go back to an old game to fly through the content, right? And I mean, I'm going to put a pin on that. We'll come back to it in a second. But it strikes me as odd that people are. And I have to wonder why. And I think one of the driving, motivating factors of it is achievement points, which in Wrath of the Lich King are just victory lap internet points, right? Like, nobody really cares. But it's there. It's a score you can have. It's a score other people can see. And so there's this need to maximize that score. And so there's this drive to constantly be pushing towards maximizing that score so that you can have a higher score than other people. And I guess for bragging rights or something, right? And I don't want to lay the problem entirely at the feet of achievement points, because I do think that it's a neat progression, especially for twinks. But for everybody, it's kind of a neat progression, but it was always intended to kind of be fun. I mean, you get as many achievement points for getting a haircut as you do for clearing knacks, right? Like, There are some other achievements for clearing knacks as far as like killing certain bosses within certain time frames or being able to avoid certain mechanics and that type of thing. But like, it's 10 achievement points. You get that for leveling to 20. Like, so it was always intended to kind of just be a fun little thing that you did, right? But it turned into like people being really like hardcore about it in very odd kind of ways. Like there's also a bunch of people complaining on the official forums that the meta achievement for the Halloween event is too given to random chance. Like, well, there's no way I can get all 20 of these masks, or there's no guarantee that I'm going to get the loot I need from the Headless Horseman to get these achievements that trigger the meta achievement that'll then trigger a further meta achievement so I can get my purple dragon mount in a year. Yeah, that was all just supposed to be fun, right? Like, I think it behooves us as gamers and as a community of gamers to slow down, like, and really just chill for a little bit. And that's not just for World of Warcraft. That's for every game. And like I said, this touches on things I've talked about a lot. You know, like gamers being hooting hogs at the trough of content and just give me more content, give me more content, give me more content. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's good. I don't care if it's bad. I just need more content. Or, you know, as other YouTubers have put it, that we are locusts, and we just swarm over a new game and hope that we have, you know, we can find content to consume that will satiate us until the next game comes along, so we can find enough content to consume, etc. Right? So we need to slow down and really learn to enjoy and experience the content that we get. And this is where Mr. Llama's run kind of struck me, is because for those of you who don't know, Mr. Llama SC is a Diablo 2 speedrunner. Most of his stuff is speed running. Sometimes he also does a lot of very silly challenges, but a lot of it's speed running. And this is a guy who's been speed running a game that is 20 years old. I forget when Diablo 2 was released. He's been speed running it for almost 15 years, right? And so he's rushing through the content. But it's a game in which he also, because of a lot of the silly challenges that he does, gets to really kind of experience the wide breadth of the game and all of the various options that he has to play it. And that's one of the things he talks about a lot on his stream, is that beating the game of Diablo 2 is not particularly difficult. With enough time and enough tenacity, you can beat it. And so that allows you to open up a lot of options for wild character builds, weird pathing, and again, like a lot of the challenges that he does, where, you know, beat the game without directly attacking anybody, beat the game blindfolded, which I think he's done, beat the game, you know, with the video inverted, beat the game with really underpowered builds like a punch barbarian or, you know, a melee sorceress, stuff like that. And because beating the game itself is really just a matter of tenacity, you get these ripples in the game that add a layer of intrigue and replayability to it that make it incredibly interesting. And that's a lot like World of Warcraft. You know, you can't beat World of Warcraft. There is no winning World of Warcraft, right? You can chase achievement points if you want and consider having the highest achievement points total to be winning. And I guess there's an argument to be made there, but you don't get anything for it. And then like you can win Mythic Plus races as a professional gamer or win arena tournaments as a professional gamer, but those are all just mini games in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has a half dozen or so different types of mini games that you can play. There is no one way to win. And so because of that, it really kind of allows you to engage in a lot of very goofy kind of gameplay, like twinking is very weird. Or, if you wanted to do oddball things like Spellhance Shaman, which is weird, or Gladiator Warriors, both of which are oddball builds that are very popular in Wrath of the Lich King. If you wanted to do Spirit Mage FCs like Hawargo used to do in Twink 39s. These are all things that the game allows for, and it's not like optimized. They're not the best possible DPS classes out there. They're not going to clear the dungeons the fastest, but again, the dungeons aren't particularly hard. You can fairly easily 4-mana heroic dungeons. So why not have weird builds? Why not play around with oddball things? Why not explore those ripples and those layers that World of Warcraft undoubtedly has? But we've got so many people out there like driving to maximize, everything from their build to their party build to their time online to their achievement point progression. And it's kind of exhausting. And I wonder where that sort of love for oddball games like Diablo 2, where did it go and what happened to it, Why aren't people doing weird stuff like that? It's very odd. And I wish to implore to y'all to encourage people to slow down. If your party leader is like, well, we can't invite so-and-so, I'm waiting for so-and-so with a good enough gear score, we need to get, we have to have X class so that we clear this dungeon as fast as possible, like, step up and say that that's not important to you. Say, really, man, like, I'm just looking to clear it, like, bring somebody, bring a noob, bring some guy in Quest Greens. It's okay, right? Like, it's going to be fine. And maybe you get into a little bit of a conversation and maybe somebody decides to throw a pissy fit over that. But, like, those of us who enjoy those oddball styles of gameplay or just enjoy the content for the content being the content and not something to just consume, but something to live in and something to experience, like, we're an awfully silent group of people. And I really want us to kind of take an opportunity that something like WoW Classic or Diablo 2 revamped, reloaded, what's it called? Diablo 2R? Diablo 2 Resurrected? There we go. Give us to go back to these older games that are, well over a decade old and just say, hey, we're here to chill. Like, if you want to just churn through content, there are other games. Like, I think, I don't want to be like, take a stand, but like, really we should like mark this off and be like, this is our territory. Like, you guys can go from game to game to game or demand that World of Warcraft have expansions every year or, whatever it is that you're worried about. Like, this is ours, though, and we're going to enjoy it. Anyway, that was as rambly as they usually are these days. A little unfocused, but I hope I got across to you guys what it was I was trying to get at. And as always, I appreciate you hanging out to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot to me. And I will talk to you all next time.